Hey friends, long time no see. I am coming back. I'm starting to integrate back into doing my regular videos and energy reads and updates and all those shenanigans. So stay tuned. Right now we're going to talk about the Gemini full moon and what that means, what that energy brings. And also I'm going to do a tarot read about it. We're going to see what's up. It's been an interesting year. I'm sure it's been interesting for all of you guys. The past 6 months have felt like much longer than that. Years, maybe. But here we are. We're coming up on the last full moon of this year. It's Gemini full moon, and it will be at its peak around 4:30 on December 19th in the morning. It is it's the final full moon of the year. It's time to reflect. We're supposed to look at our lessons from this year, guys. To just look at everything, see everything you've overcome, see everything you've been through, and integrate that energy into your new plans and goals for this upcoming year. How are you going to take everything, right? Last year was year number 5, this past year, 2021, which is a lot about lessons and integration and dealing with self-limiting beliefs. I'm going to talk about that more later in the read I will do for next year. So I'll touch on last year's read I did and bring it in for next year. So stay tuned for that too. But this is important to do. This moon is the cold moon. It's the long night moon. It's called this because it is the longest full moon of the year. We're in the dead of winter. We're coming up on the winter solstice. So after that, the days will start to get longer, and that's only like 5 days after this full moon. So this is one that is telling us to hold on. Spring's not far, right? It feels forever off. Up here in New England, where I am, we probably won't see like springtime ground until May, but spring will be here before then. So just remembering that, sometimes if you're in the northern hemisphere, when the days get shorter and shorter and shorter, you just feel like you have less time to exist, even though that's not true. But it can be hard to step out and keep going when it's dark more than it's light. So hold faith. Full moons represent a time of conclusions, of realizations, of epiphanies. They're a time for less of action and more for reflection. So don't feel like you have to stop everything you're doing if you're headed in a forward direction, or you're like things are moving for you and that is where you are at, and you're not like fumbling to move forward. If things are smooth, keep going, but recognize that this is a good place to stop and reflect, no matter if you're struggling right now or if you're feeling great. Reflection is great, it'll help you keep feeling great. So full moons are about finding that balance between the opposing circumstances and pressures in your life. It's digging deep during this lunation for that balance. I know myself, I've been feeling the imbalance of a lot of things, the imbalance, the unpredictability of life, not really knowing what's next, feeling really out of control. And that can be so chaotic, but it's also really beautiful, because in that space is where we find the ability to put release into action. So we talk about being able to let go, being able to release. Well, now we have that opportunity to do it, to let go and to lean into what is. That doesn't mean if you're in a bad situation, an abusive situation, a toxic situation, that you're supposed to accept that and lean in. This is a place to reflect and see where you are at. You have to accept what is for what it is right now in this moment, but that doesn't mean that you can't work towards something better, or that you shouldn't move away from where you are, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like if you're in a bad situation, just lean into it. It's fine. You'll find the lesson. I mean, yeah, in retrospect, you may be able to see a lot of things you learned along the way, but it doesn't mean you have to accept a detrimental situation. you have to accept that it is there and that's what it is, and then move away from that because it's not serving you. So I want to make sure that that is very clear there. But this is a Gemini moon. So it's asking us to find balance, in particular between logic and intuition. So our personal and collective truths, as well as learning and knowledge. So listen to your heart, but also you have to live within the rules of the dimension that you reside in. And we reside in the third dimension. And while we are magic, spiritual beings made out of stardust that can manipulate time and energy and create our reality, there are things that do happen, and they will happen that way, right? Consequences for your actions. Consequences aren't bad. They're just like cause and reaction type thing. So that logic and intuition, like, it's not really, but I like to say the heart and the mind is like that balance between feeling and like what you know to be true, and to use those two things to progress. And then personal and collective truths, especially now, it's a chaotic time to find that balance, because a lot of us are finding ways in which we have to shift our perspective, or things that we've deemed truths in our lives may be shifting, or maybe there are truths that the collective is hung up on that we can see aren't necessarily the end all and be all truth of it. And it's understanding that there will be paradoxes in life. There will be differences. There will be clashing. There will be conflict. But more than that, like, life is paradox, and don't give up what you know through logic and intuition to be true, because so many more are saying something else, right? Again, that's when you put to the test what you know. You know what you know, but now is a chance to put it into action and say, no, this is my truth no matter what. I'm not wavering. That's not saying be ignorant or don't be open to learning something new, right? Our identity is not our perspective, and our identity is not our opinions. And so we always have to be open to knowing. It's that learning and the knowledge, right? We always have to be open to knowing that there is someone out there that knows something we don't know, just as well as we know something someone else doesn't know. You always have something to learn. You always have something to teach. So that's very important to hold in this space. The sun is in Sagittarius, so that is all about accumulating knowledge and exploring the tangible world around you, coupled with the Gemini moon, which is the focus on all things emotional. It's finding how your personal emotions fit in with the collective as a whole. And that goes back to your truths and the collective truth versus like being individual, but also being part of this greater whole, because you are individual, we are one. It's, again, the paradoxes. It's hard to wrap this mind around it, but the greater mind knows what it knows, right? You don't have to be able to put it into words. You can have a sense of knowing, and that is sometimes enough of an explanation, right? Sometimes I think we convolute things by trying to explain things that can't really fit into those boxes that humanity or being human has put before us. So, some things may not be as they seem. Full moons are notorious for their feedback on our lives. So they will show you what you need to look at, right? Reflection. We talked about reflection and just seeing how to integrate things. They're great for feedback. So sit with this. There is a collective energy that is anxiety, depression, a lot of that right now, because we're getting inundated with a lot. There's a lot of shifts happening. There's a lot of change. And sometimes when that happens, this electromagnet like clash, we're kind of clashing with these energies. And on a very physical, tangible level, the sun it's reaching a solar maximum. So there's a lot of solar flares coming at us, which is a lot of energy, right? And we are energetic beings. We're little machines, little batteries. So we get affected. We get affected by these big celestial balls of gas and these big celestial marbles out there, right? It would be asinine for us to think that they didn't affect us, like energetically. All energy. And it's It's like, if someone walks in the room and they're super, super, super anxious, like you can feel that. It's same thing. The sun is anxious, I guess. We're getting inundated. The energies are pulling out things that have been deep-seated. If we close our heart to things and along the way, those things get trapped, essentially, within our energy field. And until something comes and shakes it out, it stays there, but it has to get shaken out. And if it hurts when it happens, it'll hurt when it comes out, right? So we release, we let it go with the same energy. We want that same heavy, hurt, overwhelming energy that came with it to go with it. And to go, we have to feel it. So if you're feeling that, you're not crazy. You are riding some waves, okay? It is okay to not be okay. It's okay to be on this roller coaster. We all think we're supposed to be feeling great right now because it's the holidays. You know what? They can be really stressful for a lot of people, especially now, given our, current climate with everything. Everything is still so different, it is okay to feel like you're losing it. So Jupiter and the moon have a harmonious aspect right now during this cycle, which brings strong influences that'll help resolve problems, find happiness, or what could be perceived as luck, mostly around romance and finances, which is really, really helpful. This comes into assuage the tense aspect there is with Pluto and Venus, because that can highlight power imbalances in romantic partnerships as well as induce financial stresses. You'll see more places where you're stressed out about this or that, like the haves and the have-nots, especially, holidays again. Like there's this whole financial stress feeling jumbled thing that like Pluto and Venus will agitate, and just know that Jupiter is there assuaging this. So these aspects aren't strong, the Venus-Pluto one, but it is important to note because they're conjunct. And Venus is going retrograde just 6 hours after the moon peaks. And Venus is the planet of of love, romance, but relationship, love, community, emotion. So all of this happening at the same time, again, that like upheaval, that overwhelming is there, and it's okay. Just know that these are all the things that are happening that could be causing those feelings to be there. Compassion, optimism, observation, those are important tools to help navigate this energy, right? With yourself and with others around you. And finding, again, that balance between family and work, as well as setting and enforcing boundaries, right? Those are really important at this time. And like family and work, but also home and work. So you time as well. So there's the balance of, are you going and going and going and not putting enough energy into your family, whatever that unit looks like. Could be family, friends who are family, could be a family unit, a spouse and children, whatever it looks like. Do you need to put a little bit more energy on socialization, like cultivating relationships, and less on working through, like going to work to, sometimes we go to work to run from what needs our attention most. I mean, we go to work because we have to, but like, are you spending too much time there and not enough time there? And then in the home sector, are you giving yourself the breaks you need from family, for yourself to integrate and process all this? Because solitude is a very important part of this journey. Having family does not mean that you have to spend all your time with them. It's very important for you to get your own space, as well as it's important if you have a spouse or a partner for them to find their space too. Space away from each other is great, and that's where growth happens. So don't be afraid to get time for yourself. It doesn't mean that you don't like your partner or your friends or your mom or your kids. It's all very important. For any partnership to succeed, it has to benefit both parties, and that's work, romantic partner, friend, kids, cousins. It doesn't matter. So that is the energy around the moon, major planetary things happening. I'm going to pull some tarot cards. And so we'll talk about the energy there and how it plays into the energies just of this Gemini full moon that's coming up. Yes. this is pretty cool. So I'm pulling from a couple different decks, and I will, as always, go over them and talk about them. Everything fell down, so I'm back now. All right. So right off the bat, I just want to, while I'm shuffling the next deck, talk about what I just pulled from the first one. Just real quick is the numbers right in order are 2, 4, 8, 10. So balance, twos, all of those are divisible by 2. One of them is 2. So there's a lot of balance, and then there are 3 major arcana cards and 1 minor, and that just means that there's a lot of emphasis on your complete life journey, right? This isn't just a moment in time. This is for everything, for all of it along the way. So yeah, all right, we're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at it. We're gonna see what's up. So the first card I pulled is the 2 of Wands, right? Wands are passion, they're fire energy, they're that drive and that ambition. They're very masculine, Mars energy, right? And remember, when we talk about masculine and feminine, it's just a way for us to understand energies based on a systematic understanding of a stereotypical way that those things are portrayed, right? It's just the duality within all of us. There is what we call masculine and feminine energies. There's this balance within us, right? The dark and the light. Again, dark isn't bad. It's just getting past the verbiage and just focusing on the message that those words bring, right? Just a reminder there. But this is a driven energy. 2 of Wands it's a travel card. It's something new. So it's not necessarily traveling or moving, but if that's something that's been coming up in your life, that could be what that's about. It's something new. Is there a new opportunity coming to you? Is there one right in front of you? This is your sign to grasp the new opportunity, right? We talked about integrating all those energies into plans and goals for this coming year. This is the card saying it's time to do that. If you do that, then you will manifest those new things into success, right? And with that card comes the Emperor. Now, this is another masculine Mars energy. This is an energy that is more of the tangible aspects of life. This is society. 4 is our foundation, right? This is that paternal aspect card. And this is in this case, like a healthy, stable father figure energy, if you will. This is, again, saying grasp that opportunity, right? This is your career. This is your tangible aspects of life. This is your material goods. This is your abundance. It's saying, like, if there's a new opportunity, it's going to take you to these new heights. It's going to take you to stability, to that strength, that ability to just be successful in whatever ventures that you set out on. And that's really important. You could be holding yourself from that because you're not feeling the strength you have necessarily. Strength reversed. Strength is 8. 8s are, again, abundance. 8 is super prevalent. It's all about like grasping life by the horns, right? There's this lion tamed by this feminine being, and it again can allude to that strong feminine, that sacred feminine. And again, it's an energy, but it's you have the strength. In reverse, you could be doubting your strength or doubting your abilities or not feeling like you can tame the lion within, right? And how do you get from here to that success? And how do you even take those steps if you're not feeling it? Well, this is an opportunity for you to take a step back, right? With that perspective we talk about, and just look at everything how it is. Look at everything for what it is. And how can you move forward? How are you integrating that, right? You don't want to stagnate. You want to keep going. Now, rest is important. Being able to take a second to reflect and look at everything is so important. And it's an important part of success and forward motion. the wheel reversed, right? The wheel keeps on turning. There's all the elements. Upright, this is, 10. 10 is cycles. 10 is conclusions. 10 is beginnings. This is a reminder that the world keeps turning, right? Everything is as it is, and it will continue to be until it's not. Very vague, very cliche. But this goes along with the reverse strength of saying perhaps you're struggling to see things as they are and to recognize that, all those hardships and all those doubts will fade away and it will change and one thing will lead into the next. You just have to grab the lion by the head and step out into that new thing in order to find that foundation and start to see, reminding yourself that everything happens, nothing stops. Things as they are now will not be how they look going forward forever, right? Things change. So if you're stuck, you're feeling stagnant or stuck or you can't move forward, this is your reminder. Three of Swords. Your heart is hurting for one reason or another. Something's not working out the way you want it to, or the way you thought it would. You have lost someone or something, or even just an idea, and it's time again. There's that retrospection, that evaluation, that just looking at what is and how you got here, and sitting with those feelings you may be having and knowing, observing them, not letting them necessarily drive the bus, but knowing that sometimes you feel heartbreak and sometimes you'll feel sadness, and that is okay, but it's important to move through it. Now, this second set of tarot cards I pulled is all swords. Swords are your thoughts and your words, and the majority of them are reverse. And so this, are you breaking your own heart? What are you telling yourself you can't do? What are you telling yourself you don't have? Are you telling yourself that you can't do it? Are you telling yourself you're not smart enough? You're not creative enough? You're not worthy enough? All you ever do is fail? Are you telling yourself, I can't have anything good because it just means something bad is about to come? When's the other shoe gonna drop? The Nine of Swords, the nightmare card. What are you telling yourself? What nightmares are you creating that aren't actually there, right? How can you stop, step back, and re-script for yourself, right? Maybe things aren't necessarily as bad as they seem. Perhaps you're giving yourself a narrative of something that isn't even happening or hasn't even happened, but you're so worried about it happening that you're almost making a self-fulfilled prophecy, and you're making yourself sicker and weaker by stressing and worrying and constantly being in the nightmare zone. And these are hitting really strong for me too, because I've been having these really weird bouts of anxiety. I wake up in the middle of the night and I just can't fall back asleep, and I'm stressed out about all these little random things that don't even matter that much, right? If this is happening for you, it's time to cut through the bullshit in your own mind, right? The Ace of Swords is about cutting through the bullshit. It's about new thoughts, new sparks of inspiration, it's an ace, it's the beginning. So this is the beginning of a new way of being, guys, all right? We're going to cut through that bullshit. We're going to start talking to ourselves better. We're going to start talking to ourselves differently. We're going to remind ourselves, instead of getting stuck in our loop thoughts, to observe our thoughts when they come in. It's okay for me to feel this way, and that thought makes me feel that way, but I don't need to do that right now because that thought's associated with something that happened, and it's not happening to me right now, right? If it's something that you can change, take the steps to change it. If you can't change the thing, start to change how you perceive it, and that thing may change itself, right? We have the power. We just have to step back and take the tangible time, right? Not tangible necessarily, but the linear time to allow that to set into motion and to see the results. The last card is Justice. This is pretty cool because it's also 8. Now in this deck, Justice is card 11. In some tarot decks, Justice is card 8. So we bought both 8s of the major arcana, and they're 2 different messages, which is pretty cool because it's still in that theme of, we got 139 in the last cards, which is also cool. But the 8, Justice, it's again, like there's the black and white, foxes, cats, animals, it's that balance, and it's the Justice is the scales, right? So it's finding, like, it's essentially weighing your own heart. It's that retrospect again. It's looking at everything that's gotten you to this point. It's done, it's here. It's like I was just saying with, you can change it, and sometimes it's just changing your perspective about it, right? Or doing something different. So it's time for that. That's what Justice is telling you, is everything that has happened, and it's brought you to here. Do you need to change that moving forward? Do you need to keep moving in the same direction, right? So that's a lot. But essentially it's balance. It's all about balance, and it's about seizing new opportunities, trusting yourself, trusting that you are worthy, you are smart, you do know exactly what you need to progress forward into the next step, journey, chapter, whatever's next for you. Don't forget, things are continuing to happen, right? You're not running out of time, because linear time is a human construct. Everything is cyclical, right? What goes around will come back around. And so taking that, and knowing that, like, don't panic and rush. You will get done what you get done in this lifetime. And whatever is not achieved doesn't matter, because it didn't happen. And your energy will cycle back around. So, like, while you, in whatever human identity you are now, may feel like things aren't happening the way you want them to, or you can't get it done fast enough, your energy is infinite, right? Don't forget that. Rushing is not going to get you anywhere. See the ways that you're holding yourself back, breaking your own heart, causing yourself stress, and cut it out. Cut it out. And just breathe deep, right? All the way down. Fill your lungs up from the top to the bottom, and then breathe all the way out. Do that a few times. Don't hyperventilate. You still might get lightheaded. Sometimes taking a whole bunch of deep breaths can have the same effect as, like, emergency anxiety relief. So do what works for you. Breathing works. Sometimes when I get worked up, my partner looks at me and goes, take a breath. It's okay to do that to yourself too, right? I'm gonna pull a couple other cards, some animals and some inner spirit cards. Those ones just popped out, so we're gonna go with those. And just remember that if things feel like they're continuously getting crazy, it goes back to that the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Swords and the Three of Swords. How can we perceive it differently, or think about whatever's in front of us differently in a way that doesn't prolong our suffering? Not that there aren't things in this world that happen that cause suffering, but if your whole life just feels like continued suffering, look for places where it's not. Have patience, right? Heron, have patience. Create a place in nature's stillness and be renewed. Nature is a very healing place. Grounding is very important. Even if you just, like, walk outside and put your feet in the ground. Even with the snow, it'll help. It's good for your immune system. Take time alone to find balance. Synchronistic. Step confidently towards your purpose, and patience will bring you rewards. So it's that slowing down, taking a break. Like, don't rush. You don't need to rush. Take a breath. Let it be. Infinite abundance. This is the flower of life. It's really the seed of life because it's cut off, but it's infinite abundance. It's that infinite energy we're talking about. It's that give and take. It's the knowing that you have everything you need. And then changing the way that you perceive needs and perceive abundance. To know like you're taken care of. The universe isn't gonna forget its own. And blaze a trail, right? That Two of Wands. It's time for a new venture. If there's new opportunities, grab them. It's so important. This is a refresh. This next year coming up is, we talked about twos. This next year coming up is 2022, the 222. There's so much balance coming into play. And like you've been working towards that this whole year and maybe your whole lifetime, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're recognizing how to step into that. And we'll talk more about next year, towards the end of the year. But yeah, blaze a trail, like step out. Don't be afraid. I was talking to somebody yesterday about like, if you have a new opportunity, like where do you start? And it's really important to start. You can start in the middle, you can start at the end. But sometimes we keep ourselves from ever accomplishing something because we don't know where to start. So step out, take a breath of fresh air. This is a place of renewal, and let this moon energy cleanse you. I'll see you later, guys. Enjoy this energy. It is intense, but it's very healing.